Okay, good evening. Hi, welcome into the show, everybody. This is The Slate. We're a DraftKings show, streaming live on DraftKings YouTube, Twitch, and we're also live over at DK Nation on Twitter. The DK Nation platform is at DK Live. Very fired up show. I'm playing a little hurt here. Got back from Vegas this morning from Patriots Raiders. Jeff Ulrich's alongside. There's news on Jalen Hurts that just came out. That's pretty relevant because of the line movement on that game this Saturday night on Christmas Eve. And what else we got? We've got I thought best week of the year in the league, though, overall. As painful as that was yesterday, that was quite an entertaining Sunday.
I agree 100%. It was crazy, man. From a lot of aspects, obviously the DFS side of it was crazy. You had, like the Zay Jones and, Jerick McKinnon and stuff. But, for best ball, it was crazy. I just had some insane guys just going off like that. Guys I hadn't even thought about all year. Drafted in like the last round of my best ball teams, all of a sudden just carrying my teams. And then just from the playoff perspective as well. I mean, my God, like, I don't even know where we start here, but where do you want to start, man? Like, seriously. I mean, I don't want to bring up the Patriots to be a meanie and stuff.
Oh, you're not being a meanie.
That's where I would be starting, and I'd be poking the bear, but it's you.
Oh,
you show up, you're hurting. We start wherever you want. You choose.
Oh, well, look, I'm appalled. I'm disappointed they were down 17-3. The offense is still a mess. Yeah. It is amazing when you go to a game and you don't get the television broadcast because of replay, which was clearly a factor in yesterday's game, but also early in the game when the Patriots had second and goal from the 1 yard line and they decide to spread it out and then start throwing it now to their receivers as opposed to just run the ball up the middle. Belichick called a timeout, which no one knew in the stadium. We thought it was a touchdown. I'm celebrating there. Then they're running 3rd and 1 again. And I'm like, wait a minute. Belichick called a timeout, but insane, absolutely insane. It's the most insane sporting event I've ever been to in my life. What happened yesterday? Chandler Jones ran the ball back our direction where I was sitting at the game. And was on the Patriots yesterday. I was on the under as well. Everything was going so well when they made the comeback. And then, it was hell. Absolute hell. This could be, though, a silver lining for the Patriots is the coaching has been a huge issue and that needs to be fixed. I'm concerned they don't win a game the rest of the year to try to look ahead now and look at the Bengals the Dolphins and the Bills. They're getting 3.5 points now at home on Saturday, Christmas Eve. That was crazy. Being in Vegas for a football Sunday is also unbelievable. Caught the end of that Chiefs game, the game on Saturday, for crying out loud, Colts and Vikings. Chiefs win in overtime, Jags win in overtime. But I think, again, it's like, we talked about this last week. It's, if you're a good team, if you're the Chiefs, you don't bring your A game to the table early, you find a way to win and move on. You take the W. Bengals start slow, don't cover. They did cover the spread, but they didn't look good early.
No, man, and like that's a game that's kind of just going under the radar right now. But like, oh my, like what were the Bucs doing in that game? Going for it on, like, when you're up 17 in your own end zone or own red zone, basically, to give Joe Burrow life, and then just turnover after turnover. What an implosion by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were dominating that game. Just keep them pinned with your defense. I mean, my God, like, Todd Bowles, what a terrible coach so far. I mean, you can say, oh, Brady runs that offense. Like, the Bucs without Bruce Arians, not even close to the same team. And I think that's the main thing that's been troubling them this year, is Bruce Arians not being there. So really interesting.
I never thought I'd say that too, to be honest.
And like, no, I mean, I kind of thought this is what would happen. I didn't have the guts to, like, come out and necessarily say, oh, Tampa's going to be a losing team. I still thought they were good enough to get it together at some point and kind of succeed without it. But this has been like an outright disaster. And like, Bowles not a good coach. And I figured Bowles deserved another chance to be a head coach, but it's not the way Arians talked about him. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I fine, really good defensive coordinator. I'm sure he knows his stuff. I'm not even going to get into that, but like, yeah, I mean, he was kind of a disaster his first time around. And I mean, like, again, just that decision to give a team like the Bengals, who are just clicking on all cylinders, any kind of life, man, what a weird decision. And just, I mean, it wasn't just that, it was Brady as well, like making mistakes, them not running the ball at all. So Bengals, really impressive team right now. I've called it the last 3 weeks. Like, this team is really, really just in sync, all facets, really well coached. Tough out, man. Joe Burrow in the postseason, that is the last guy you want to be going up against. So Bengals, I mean, you give them credit. They had a little sniff, just a little sniff, and it's like they turned it into like the dam just broke. But yeah, man, that I don't even know who's going to win that division. Like, yeah, I mean, crazy stuff. I don't know. That's one thing I didn't get around to doing today, is checking out all the schedules for those teams. I mean, I'm prone to, like, thinking maybe jump back on the Saints here, but, like, I don't know, man. You probably make a case for all those teams. I think the Panthers would be the one I'm out on. They got a tough game against the Lions this week, but
the minute the Panthers became a favorite against the Steelers, I was like, I know we talked. You were big on Darnold playing well.
That was my one really bad call of the week. I admit it. Should have listened to my friend Matt LaMarca. The Panthers are still a solid team. A solid defense, I should say, but they got run on a bit. I think their rush defense got exposed, and yeah, maybe the air is out of the equation with that team a little bit. The Falcons are interesting. I forgot the Falcons actually have the Bucs the last week. They have the Cardinals and the Ravens the next 2 weeks. Winnable games. So
yeah, that's wild. 6-8. It's really, and they're not being talked about because why should they? They've been terrible. I mean, we did just talk about them and how they blew another game. And then Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, their come from behind win again. They make a comeback against the Dallas Cowboys. Some play calling there that's like, whoa, offensive play calling, that is. You have 3rd and 10, and Mike McCarthy decides to go deep down the left sideline. I don't really understand that with about 1 minute and 40 seconds to go in the game. You could ice it with the play over the middle, let the clock run, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Look, we've got 30 minutes to talk. There was a lot yesterday, a lot. And I can't help but come away from it and thinking, if you're a good team this time of year, you overcome injuries and you just win close. And if you don't, like the Vikings, do I have to start being fair to the Vikings? I mean, the way they came back, again, it was Jeff Saturday. I realized that. Little to no experience. Maybe a game. This is just a thought that came to my mind. Try to figure out something that maybe wasn't talked about enough. Keep an eye on those Chargers. They got another win yesterday, another close win yesterday.
I was going to say the Chargers, like the AFC is interesting. I think the top 3 teams, the Chiefs, you don't like the way they're going about. Their defense is really suspect, but they have the ace in the hole with Mahomes, and they did find a way. But of the top 3 teams, to me, they are clearly the weakest right now. Like Buffalo and Cincinnati are ahead of the pack by far. The Chargers are getting themselves back in the conversation here. Absolutely. I think they're a very solid team. They've had a little bit of luck coming through, but they also had injuries they were dealing with. They seem to be coming back to life a little bit. I've always I go back to that early meeting between the Chiefs and Chargers, man. Yeah. They had that game. And Herbert threw like the 99-yard pick. And it's just like, since then, those two teams went in opposite directions, but the Chargers are starting to come back. Herbert's amazing, obviously. And I think they're a legit upset team, like a team who could knock off anyone. So that's the team that's really come back to me. I think Miami is who they are. They're solid, but I don't think that they really have what it takes this year. The defense just isn't there. Can't stop Josh Allen when they need to. Offense was put up a really good fight.
Yep.
And then Baltimore, I'm just like, I mean, again, I've been fading Baltimore for the last 3 weeks. They're averaging like 13 points a game. Like it's not going to happen. Sorry. And the AFC South, Jacksonville's a great story. Could they upset a team? I love Doug Peterson. I don't know if the defense is good enough either. So I think Miami, Jacksonville, and I'm just assuming Jacksonville's going to win that division. But if they do, those would be the 2 clear bottoms with, the Ravens mixed in as well.
Plus 125, the Jags right now over at the DraftKings Sportsbook. We got the Sportsbook up, and we've also got the DFS contest for tonight. We have Monday night. We haven't discussed yet. We have Monday Night Football with the Rams and the Packers coming up tonight.
So much to talk about, but
it was the best weekend of the year. It was the best weekend of the year, and there's been a lot of bad football, and there was still bad football yesterday, but entertaining, high-scoring games with legitimate stakes, come from behind wins. There is news today also on Jalen Hurts, and we'll do the Hurts stuff, and then we'll go to the game for tonight. What do you make of this as far as what it means? I mean, look, they've got everything locked up, right? They've got the 1 seed. They've already got the head-to-head meeting with Dallas. Since the Cowboys lost yesterday, that probably makes this decision a little bit easier. Reports out there saying it could be 1 game, could be 2 for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
it's Gardner Minshew, it seems. What's your concern? What's your concern level on this as far as their futures to win the Super Bowl?
I think that it's a sprained shoulder. Like, it's not that big a deal. It sounds like he could even play this week. So like the concern level there isn't a big deal. They haven't clinched the division yet. They actually haven't clinched anything. They've clinched a playoff spot.
Right.
But yeah, that's it. So,
okay. So I shouldn't have said they've done that, but what I'm getting at is, even if they lose the game tomorrow, they're still in a pretty good spot because they've got a loss in hand and a head-to-head win.
I think their biggest concern isn't necessarily the division, because basically 1 win and that's done. But their concern is the Vikings now, who are somehow 11-3 and losing out that first round bye. So,
right. Okay.
The Eagles are now +6. Man, like, it's a weird spot for sure. And it's got to be a little bit deflating for a team that hasn't had to deal with much anything really in terms of just, adversity this year. I mean, they deal with adversity, obviously. They've come back in games and stuff. But in terms of like injuries or really rough stuff like that. So I think the good news is, again, they're in a really good spot. Basically 1 win, they get the division. But yeah, it's opened the door for the Vikings to potentially sweep here and maybe sneak in. We have 3 games left. Eagles will, if they go 1-2, they're going to be at 14-3. Vikings sweep 14-3. I don't know what the tiebreaker is between those 2 teams. Is it point differential? Something like that? It must be. Or is it like division win record?
For what teams?
For the number 1 spot.
Head to head. They played each other.
Tie.
They played each other.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
The Eagles beat them.
Okay, so they have the tiebreaker. So really the Eagles are in a pretty good spot then. That's what I was just trying to figure out in my mind. Okay, I forgot that they played each other. So the Eagles.
That was a while ago. Yep.
It was a while ago. They absolutely stomped them too. So the Eagles are in a good spot. They need one win. Yeah, rest Jalen Hurts 2 weeks.
That's
You'd really rather it didn't come down to the last game of the season, and it might, but you need Jalen Hurts healthy. Like that's the be all end all, right? Like you don't want to march him out there when he's not 100%, get hurt again, and then you're left. I mean, that bye is important. It's kind of a tricky spot, to be honest. Like you want to play for the bye because you want to give him extra rest too, but you need that one win to kind of sew all this up. So obviously this week they're almost, it looks for certain they're going with Minshew. And you know what? They're still live to win this game. Like they really are. I know it's moved to 6. I don't know where this number is going to land. I feel like 7 is too much, way too much.
I even feel like this 6 is too much.
I was going to say, I even feel like 6 is too much. So I think you'll probably most likely see this number settle in the 4.5, maybe 4 range, 4 to 5 range, 5.5. I think that right now, like a +6, I'm definitely not taking the Cowboys. But you know, the Eagles, I don't know how much bigger you get them. I don't know if this will push to 7. I really don't think so. So, you know, you are probably buying close to the top here, which is probably a good spot to get on the Eagles. If you jumped in quick and you got the snooze right away, you're in a great spot with the Cowboys like -2.5 or even -3.
Even the Nick Sirianni press conference announcement, it sounded like the tipping off point was that Hurts wasn't going to talk today.
Yeah.
So it all kind of started adding up. And then the line moved as well. It was at 1.5, then it moved to 3 within an hour. And it's like, that makes you think like, oh, something's up there. And it was Hurts. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this affected other markets too, like player futures and stuff like that, like MVPs. So
I just had that up. And that's why, again, like I said to you off air before starting the show, why this fan base drives me absolutely crazy, because the MVP market, which I'm glad you brought up, if the Eagles are +6 for this week, and if you look at the MVP odds, and Patrick Mahomes is now minus 350 to win this award. Does that not reflect that this could be longer term, which means it's probably not a week. It could be 2. It could, right? It could be worse. That's what that tells me.
So the market is anticipating a 2-week absence here. I totally agree. 100% agree. They're saying Jalen Hurts is potentially going to miss 2 games, or maybe come back and be limited or something and not be Jalen Hurts for a game, which is in itself interesting. If you really believe this is going to be a 1-game absence, or you've heard something about that, then I mean, you can't, like, how much can you knock a guy like Jalen Hurts for missing 1 game? You know, like if the Eagles lose 1 game and then they come back and they win both games with Hurts and they get the number 1 seed, does that launch him back in front of Mahomes? There's a very viable, path for that to happen. So it does feel like this is a bit too much of an adjustment, but clearly like someone's anticipating a 2-week absence. So you can, there's risk involved there. I'm still kind of interested in Joe Burrow in this spot, to be honest. Like I know Mahomes is great and the numbers are slightly better, but like Burrow's got the head-to-head win.
Yep.
The Chiefs really have not looked good the last couple of weeks. Wouldn't shock me if the Chiefs dropped a game or 2 coming in. The Chiefs are giving me major Dallas Cowboy vibes, where the Cowboys were kind of winning games and they didn't look that good. And then I know they've dropped one and it's like, okay, maybe, they've taken a step back. The Chiefs defense definitely taking a step back. Although again, we're talking MVP odds, so I don't know. But this MVP race, definitely Mahomes to lose right now. If the Chiefs close out, we even just go 2-1. He looks fine. He's going to win, I think, even if Hurts is just gone for a game. So if you're getting on Jalen Hurts, you're going to need him to miss 1 game. You're going to need the Chiefs to lose a stinker or something probably. And Hurts to really close it out strong. He may not even play the final week. I think that's actually, that's probably the other thing that we're anticipating here. If Minshew comes in and steals a game or something, there's no incentive for the Eagles to start Jalen Hurts again, really. Maybe
so basically,
reps,
but don't play him for a month.
Well, they could.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I've always been on both sides of this.
This is a really tricky
the reps
situation.
or this and that. I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
Think about it this way. What if, okay, Eagles lose this week. Hurts comes back. They win next week. I don't even know who they played the week after.
Bears.
Okay. No, it can't be the Bears.
Oh, no, I'm apologies. Saints at home. Saints, New Year's Day.
Okay. Let's say they take care of the Saints. Hurts goes out there and plays. They've clinched everything. They've got the number 1 seed. He plays like 10 snaps in week 18. That's probably not going to get it done for the MVP.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a kind of a tough spot for Hurts right now for this award. Mahomes is going to be going full throttle till the end. Burrow's going to be going full throttle to the end. By the way, like, how many games in a row the Bengals won? If they close out like without losing a game, yeah, it's a tough spot, man. If you got a Jalen Hurts ticket, I kind of feel bad for you, but I don't foresee this ending with the Jalen Hurts MVP award.
They've won 6 in a row. They've covered again. So I think the streak now, they've covered 19 of their last 22 or 20 of their last 23 games.
It's insane, man.
They play the Patriots this week. Then they play Buffalo head-to-head Monday night. That's the other thing. We can look at Mahomes and Hurts all we want. Are we missing the fact? I know you brought up Burrow, but are we missing that maybe Burrow v. Allen on Monday Night Football, January 2nd, is for the MVP? Because if the Bengals handled their business and beat New England at New England, which, I mean, that's not a gimme game in terms of, well, maybe it is because the Patriots are demoralized, but only because it's on the road, and we shouldn't be asking the Bengals to go in and cover every spread on the road. They just did it against Tampa. And Buffalo plays Buffalo just played Miami. Who does Buffalo play this weekend? Buffalo plays at Chicago.
Yeah, so that's going to be Josh Allen racking up about 400 yards.
Yeah, it's true. That defense isn't very good.
No,
I just can't. Just really quick, 1 quick minute, then we'll go to the game. We'll go to the game tonight.
Yeah. Folks
that are Philly people or Philly fans are like, well, if Gardner Minshew's the quarterback this week, that's what it's looking like, and it's almost like they're cheering for Minshew to get destroyed this weekend to prove how good their quarterback is. So they want it both ways. They want Jalen Hurts to be the MVP of the league, but they want to maintain, we're great, 13-1, best team ever. But they almost want Minshew to get crunched this weekend so people will stop saying that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. I don't know what Philadelphia people want. Like, do you want your quarterback to be healthy or do you want him to win the MVP award? I'm just confused.
They want everything. They want the respect. They want Jalen Hurts to get his. I mean, yeah, the Philly fan base it's fickle.
But it's also not ridiculous based on what you made a great point. The Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year. They could have easily plummeted this season, which they didn't start great. If you're Jalen Hurts and you're a Philadelphia fan and he's in the conversation with Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen, that right there should be a win as a fan base. The fact that he's even in the mix, how great he's played.
Absolutely. And look, these MVP awards, it's a popularity contest. It's got to do with when guys get hot at the right time. Jalen Hurts probably wins if he doesn't get injured. I mean, like it would be a really hard time but unfortunately now, like it's almost like the worst time for this to happen. This had happened in like week 3 and he missed like 1 game. People would forget about it by now, but now it's happening in like when we're getting down to the nitty gritty, when we're down to 4 players who can legitimately even put a hand and say, I'm in the running for this award. And unfortunately, he's not the only guy in the league playing well. Like Burrow, Allen, coming off massive wins. Mahomes again saves his team. Like it's just Jalen Hurts is great, but like he's unfortunately, like it's not like the year Matt Ryan won the award when it was like, like there's not many good quarterbacks in the league. The fact, like you said, you put it perfectly. The fact you have a quarterback being considered in the group with Allen and Mahomes and Burrow, like put your heads up high. If anything, Hurts not winning the MVP is only going to motivate this team in the playoffs. So it's a catch-22, man. I mean,
it just drives me insane with this stupid MVP. Great. Hey, happy we have odds on it.
People vote on it. He's had enough. He's had a long weekend.
MVP thing. It just doesn't make sense.
Jacoby Myers throw the ball to Mac Jones towards his end zone, 40 yards. Chandler Jones running over him like a little kid.
That was bad.
What a play.
That was bad.
Oh my God.
I mean, Stevenson started it, but the little lateral, Jeff, I mean this. I know it sounds like it's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe what I saw. I could not believe it. My jaw dropped in that stadium. So anyway, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts to win the MVP. Who cares? Like, you're 14-1. Make sure he's right. Who cares? But
Yeah.
And Mahomes, by the way, Mahomes has only won one MVP. So there's this like rhetoric that he hasn't won. He's only won the award once. He hasn't won this isn't Giannis here or Jokic in the NBA. They've won multiple MVPs. Philly got all but hurt when Embiid didn't win MVP too. This is why this bothers me. And then, yeah, Allen and Burrow play each other head to head, and Burrow is unbelievable. He is awesome. And I know you love him too, but we called that number out a few weeks ago. He could have got it at plus 1,000 to win the MVP. There was plus 700. Now it's at plus 550 because they keep winning.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about tonight's game? Are you excited? Now, does yesterday kind of make you think, oh, we got to do Rams and Packers? I hope they don't ruin the end of this week.
Well, I thought, look, we're getting a game with extreme temperatures involved. It's always kind of interesting, right? Like extreme cold. I think that always makes a game more interesting than it could be. If this was just like the Rams Raiders game, that was a terrible game up until the last 5 minutes of the game, right? So
because it's the Raiders. Yeah,
but this could be a little interesting. I mean, you're going to see guys having to tackle. It's freezing. You're going to see each other's breasts and stuff like that. Oh man, I mean, I'd probably just take the under here. I talked about it this morning. Like, I just don't know why the Packers are getting so much respect. Like, yes, it's Lambeau. Yeah, they got the historical good record there. I get all that. But like, you look at this team, all the stats, defensive DVOA, they're below average against the pass, against the rush. Offensively, they've never really been able to get it together here. And like, they're taking on a Rams squad who they still hold up against the run, even with some injuries, man. Like, they held Josh Jacobs to under 100 yards. They've got a trio of like interesting receivers on offense. I don't know. It feels like they're probably going to do enough here. If you're just like, Jeff, you're an idiot, I'm taking the points and it's Lambeau at home, I really wouldn't. Like, I'm not hard on the Rams here. I'm just think that at 7.5, we're past the key number. Just take the points probably if I'm picking a side. But that's not even my favorite play. It's by far from my favorite play. My favorite play is probably to look at the player props here and just take a couple player props. That's really what I'm looking at. I really like the yardage prop on Christian Watson. Again, like this Rams secondary, I think that this yardage prop on Watson, which is it off the board? It's probably been bet up. Oh no. Okay. So it's up 49.5. If you had gotten it yesterday or this morning, it was around 47.5. So it's actually been bet up. I just felt like that was way too low at 46, 47.5. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but there's no wind. Rams have allowed the 6th most fantasy points, 8th most yards to wide receivers this year. I'm not scared of Jalen Ramsey in this matchup with Christian Watson at all. So I even at 49.5, you know what? Like, I think Watson probably gets there. I also like Ben Skowronek, although I'd rather look to him in the reception department. Ben Skowronek is going to take is really juiced up, but you could maybe look at that as like some kind of parlay situation there with a minus 175 line. I'd rather they just give us 3.5 so we get some plus money or something. But Skowronek's a guy, like, I think he's going to play a little bit of that Cooper Kupp role. He'll get schemed up. McVay has used him in a lot of different positions. He's on the field for basically every snap in the last game. And, Baker Mayfield has kind of always been looking towards that slot guy. He and Jarvis Landry had a nice connection. So Skowronek, maybe take the yards. You get better juice there, minus 110. But I think Skowronek will be involved again and have a decent enough game to push his overs as well.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. The plus, I get on Aaron Rodgers, but he's a great cold weather throwing quarterback too. I mean, he's
he's got the live arm, like needs it. So,
yep. What about a total?
Oh, so the total, yeah, no, I mentioned, like, I mean, I would definitely be on the under here. I mean, cold weather game, you got to feel like the Rams are going to make this as ugly and as short a game as possible. I feel like it's going to be pretty similar to the Rams and Raiders game. I really do. it may came down. It may be like last game, like the primetime game we saw. Where it's we got to dodge a late score, but like, do you really want to be on the side of the offenses here? And trust the Rams to get some miracle touchdown to put you to the over, because it feels like that's what you might need in this game to hit the over. I'm actually surprised that this is 39.5. Again, much like the line, I thought this would be closer to like 37 or something. I think that there'll be some yards. I think there'll be some plays. I just don't think there's going to be a ton of touchdowns here. Tough in that cold weather to run like really legitimate, the kind of plays that McVay wants to run. Even the Matt LaFleur wants to run at the goal line sometimes with a lot of motion. So yeah, I'm gonna take the under here as well.
All right, good deal. Good deal. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, how do we feel about Baker Mayfield's props in terms of them opening up the passing game for him a bit? Cam Akers, I think the last I saw was at 55 yards rushing. That's probably dropped a little bit. Yep. 54.5. Do you think with McVay having more time now with Baker Mayfield that they open it up a bit? Because I'm starting to wonder, like, maybe a good idea could be passing completions and attempts.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that call. I do think you're going to see Baker throw it a little bit more, and I think just the game flow will trigger that as well. What are his attempts props? I know we were pass completion 17.5, attempts. I'd probably rather go over on the attempts, if anything. I think 30.5, definitely projected just for slightly over there for me for a decent play. The yardage is interesting. I would probably, like you said, I think it's a good thing to bring up. The completions or attempts would probably be where I'd be more bullish there. But yeah, I'm not expecting huge games or anything like that, but I think like looking for small edges like that. I actually think there's a lot of places like that tonight where you can look for small edges. Like, again, I mean, I didn't even mention like, Van Jefferson is another player. I think his yardage prop, basically every single wide receiver for the Rams went over their prop in their last game, and they all have the same props. Like Van Jefferson is playing every snap. He's getting targeted downfield a little bit. This Packers secondary has been very hit or miss. Again, like yards per play has been not good for them. So Jefferson and Skronik, two players like I'd be looking at for overs. Probably fade Higbee because he's kind of been phased out of this offense. He's blocking more, really just keeping him in line more. So that's a player I would stay off of for an over, or even just look towards the under maybe on the 25.5. And then, like you said, with Mayfield, I do think that he'll probably go over some of his passing props tonight.
I don't think it seems like, based on that comeback, that it's his job, right? They're going to give him some leash here. I mean, all things considered, when you get 48 hours notice and you performed in that fourth quarter drive like you did a couple Thursdays ago.
I mean, what are their other options? Like they don't need to see anything from Bryce Perkins. I think they know that what they have. Wolford is, he's just happy to be there. I think Baker Mayfield is someone they need to evaluate. McVay seems to like him.
Yep.
Maybe they bring him back. Maybe he's the backup next year. Stafford obviously dealing with a long-term injury. Maybe they go like the San Francisco route and bring in a really experienced backup. It's certainly helped teams like San Francisco and Philadelphia in the past to do things like that. So wouldn't shock me if that's where Baker Mayfield ends up. Yeah. Also wouldn't shock me if Baker Mayfield was like the starting quarterback of like the Saints next year either. But I think McVay wants to evaluate, maybe see if he can form some sort of relationship here. And who knows, man, like Matthew Stafford, again, elbow issues. Who knows how long this guy's out? Good things happen fast in the NFL, man.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And you've been on that about San Fran for a while, since Jimmy G went down, since Lance went down, having a great, and look at Cooper Rush and the Dallas, as much as we get on the Cowboys, having Cooper Rush, a competent backup to maintain a level of consistency in your offense. I think Sean McVay found that out the hard way this year, clearly. And maybe I could see McVay, there's been rumors about him retiring, going into TV, but maybe he looks at this Baker project as like, oh, okay, this is kind of fun. Former first overall pick. A lot of offensive minds in the league liked him. Yeah. Hasn't worked out. But if I can fix this guy, I mean, it elevates the Sean McVay coaching story even more, I think.
No, absolutely. I think McVay's into it for sure. I mean, he's a dude who's, rehabilitated a lot of quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins to begin with, got him into his starting role and really helped his career. And obviously, Matt Stafford having his, maybe not his best statistical year, but just his most success with McVay. So yeah, it's a challenge for McVay. Guys like that need challenges. And I think that's probably one of the only thing that's really motivating him towards the end of the year, because like you said, it sounds like his future is in flux as well. So
I know it's usually consistent with the betting, the props, but any bullish takes on the showdown contest?
Oh yeah. So for showdown, I think that, we already talked about Watson. I like the matchup a lot. I think he's a very viable captain's candidate. I don't know if there's anyone on the Rams I would consider. I think if I was going to go with someone, you probably just go for the touchdown upside with Cam Akers and hope that he gets a couple short yardage touchdowns, gets maybe 80 yards and some receptions, and they just win a really ugly game, like 17-13. Other than that, I would really be looking towards like AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones. I think that, again, the running backs and Christian Watson is kind of where I want to go. It's there's a lot of like value pieces that I think makes sense to put in your flex, like Van Jefferson with Baker Mayfield going down, Tutu Atwell's interesting. Even Brandon Powell is like a min price punt. But as far as captains, like
Sharonik,
Dillon, Aaron Jones, those guys have to be have the most kind of upside and best floor. And then, Watson is kind of the home run play. I'll throw out one guy I really like as a min price play. He's not bare min, but Malcolm Brown at 800. Another veteran brought in by McVay, took like 30% of the snaps, was involved in the pass game. I think he'll see quite a bit of play here, like for a backup in a cold weather game. He'll probably catch some passes out of the backfield again. Akers really hasn't been used that much in that facility. So Malcolm Brown at 800, again, like if he finds the end zone or even if he catches like 3 or 4 passes, that's going to pay off big.
All right.
Don't play Sammy Watkins because he got released. Don't ever play Sammy Watkins anyways, but especially today.
Weeks 1 through 3, like 5 years ago. And that's probably it.
You can play that. That's it.
Oh, that just brought it back for me. I remember some of the first years I worked at DraftKings when Alex Jankowski was running our content department, and but first few weeks I was there, Sammy Watkins. But when this guy performs in September, go away from him forever because he's just always let you down. So, okay, that's it. It's 6:00. Jeff, thanks for helping me out there. I've been having a tough day. I've been nursing some pain, so. Got to go rest up and get my life back in order.
Nice. All right. You rest up, pal.
All right. Jeff Ulrich, thanks to Eamon and Daniel behind the scenes as well. Brendan Glasheen, the slate returns tomorrow, just after that 4 p.m. Madden Sim. And then you've got the sweat at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy the football tonight, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.